Tonight on CTV News, 2 people in custody following 2 armed robberies overnight. Catholic Cathedral revamp on the way, and more frustrating delays for the future of Redcliffe School.
Broadcasting across Canterbury, from the CTV studio, this is First at 5.
Good evening, welcome to CTV News, streaming live every night at ctv.co.nz. Well, we start with some positive news tonight. By the year 2020, Christchurch could see a fully revamped Catholic cathedral. The cathedral has been abandoned since the earthquakes, but now it's looking forward to a new lease on life. Here's Chelsea Daniels.
The fate of the Catholic Cathedral was cemented today after the $45 million revamp proposed earlier this year has been given the go-ahead by Sarah.
The building's really important both to the Catholic Diocese and to the City of Christchurch. To the Catholic Diocese because it represents over 100 years of history of the Catholic movement here. But I think what we've seen from public reaction in May last year that there's a real fondness for the building and a keenness to maintain this heritage asset.
The Canterbury Earthquake Recovery Authority has issued a Section 38 notice which allows the deconstruction of the damaged areas and the full investigation of the ground underneath.
The Bishop made it quite clear when we met in May that no bishop wants to have the responsibility of pulling down a cathedral. This has made the ability to get on and do the work that's necessary to see if we can retain that nave possible. We're all really keen to get on with things to discover, hopefully, a bright future for this building.
Bishop Barry Jones is excited the project has been given the go-ahead.
The people of the diocese are overjoyed. They're like most people, they would hate to see the thing come down. Now, we don't know, but the point is we're going to find out.
The nave, which is the centre of the building, takes up about 2/3 of the remaining side and which Bishop Jones says is the most precious part.
Well, Miles Warren says the interior of the nave is the finest interior view of any building in New Zealand, and who am I to disagree with him?
But Keith Beale says they have always been positive the basilica has been salvageable.
We've always had a good working relationship with Sarah. The case that we put forward we felt was quite a compelling one, bearing in mind prior to that we'd undertaken a lot of consultation with the city and with Heritage, so we were all pointing in the same direction. It was just making sure that we had provided enough evidence to justify our plan.
Construction will start by the end of the year, with investigations into whether the nave can be saved.
It's a year to undertake all the necessary investigations and get on with the planning. So we're kind of come at it from a really positive point of view that we believe we can save the nave. It's only if we find something completely out of the blue that would cause us to take a very, very different view of life.
And if it can be saved, Beale says the public should be seeing the full reconstructed cathedral by 2020.
We believe that we should be able to return the nave to service in about 3 to 4 years' time. Lovely. Yeah,
and then it will stand here for centuries to come.
That is the plan. That is definitely the plan.
Chelsea Daniels, CTV News.
2 people are in custody tonight following 2 armed robberies in Christchurch last night, but police are still looking for a 3rd offender. Here's Jared McCulloch.
Targeted at gunpoint, these 2 offenders in their early 20s entered a dairy near Selwyn Street at 6:15 last night, leaving with some tobacco and cash. But it wasn't the only convenience store the male and female allegedly raided. A few kilometres away, another dairy. A terrifying experience for shop workers.
They were shocked, obviously. Traumatic. They were confronted with what turned out to be an imitation firearm. However, they're not to know that at the time. They've been outstanding. They were able to provide us with some detailed information that helped us locate the offenders.
The offenders entered the dairy off Hoon Hay Road just before 6 p.m, allegedly brandishing a pistol and threatening the store owner. After a struggle, they left empty-handed. Then moved on to the next dairy. 15 minutes later, police say both incidents are connected.
2 individuals go into a shop where a robbery was taking place and confront the 2 offenders. We also had vigilant members of the public obtain information that was crucial to police locating these persons of interest.
Police are also looking for a third suspect, believed to have been helping the duo with the robbery. The shop owners didn't want to appear on camera, but one owner told CTV News they had been operating their dairy for 5 years and have never seen anything like this before. The other owner had been operating for a decade and has had one incident and is now looking to install more cameras outside his business. But both of them have told CTV News they don't feel safe in Christchurch.
At the end of the day, dairy owners that take precautions, put in good security cameras, that have their wits about them, as these two individuals or these dairy owners did have, enabled us to do our job. They provided crucial information that led to the capture of these individuals. The sooner off the street, the least likelihood is that they'll do it again.
And police say they'd like to thank the public for their help.
We were able to put an operation in place. The result of that is that 2 addresses were targeted last night by police. 2 persons were arrested and appeared in Christchurch court today on charges of aggravated robbery.
The 2 offenders are off the street and are in custody. They'll appear in the Christchurch District Court later this month. Investigations into the 3rd female offender are continuing.
We would like to speak with her sooner rather than later. If she's watching this now, she can always make contact with me at the Christchurch Central Police Station or go into any police station.
Jared McCulloch, CTV News.
Well, more frustrating delays for the future of Redcliffe School. A decision on the future has been delayed until next month after many submissions to Education Minister Heke Parata. They say more time is needed to get through the large volume of submissions, which probably isn't a bad thing. The school was forced to close back in June 2011 after rockfalls threatened the safety of the site, with that school currently operating out of the Van Ash Education Deaf School. A final decision is likely to be made in October. Well, we're down to the final 4, sort of, the proposed alternatives to our national flag. We sent our reporter Chelsea Daniels to the streets of Christchurch to find out which flag you liked the most.
Well, it has the silver fern and it's still got the 4 stars. So we get the best of what we've had.
This one.
Why do you like that one the best?
Because it still has the old colours and it's got the fern on it.
Probably this one.
Why that one?
Oh, just looks a bit better.
It's pretty, isn't it?
Bit similar to the old one.
Well, they should have had the flag that's existing as well as the ones
Do you prefer the one that we've got already?
Of course. What's the use of spending money on changing a flag?
And why would you choose that one?
Because we've got the silver fern and we've still got a little bit of the colours of the stars of the Union Jack.
Yeah. Do you think we should change it at all?
I'd rather not. I think it's too much money, to be honest. Yes.
I mean, I like our flag the way it is, but if we're going to change, then I'd go for that one.
These are only sports flags. We don't need that. We've got a flag of our own and we should keep it.
Quite clearly, that one.
Clearly?
Yes.
Why?
Well, it's nice colours. Still got the Southern Cross, and we still have the fern leaf. So.
It's a year on from the double shooting at Ashburton's Work and Income Office. Richard Wagstaff from the Public Service Association has paid his tribute to Peg Noble and Lee Cleveland, who were both killed by a lone gunman while they worked. Mr Wagstaff says their hearts go out to everyone who knew the woman. He says the PSA has worked closely with Work and Income staff to review their safety, and he's hopeful measures put in place have helped reassure staff their safety. Scores of social workers from across the country took to a 2-minute silence at 9:52 this morning, exactly 1 year on from when the shots were fired. Russell John Tully is yet to stand trial for the woman's murders and attempted murder of Lindy Curtis. Well, still to come here on CTV News, broadcasting live at ctv.co.nz, Christchurch's only youth health service hub is bursting at the seams. Welcome back to CTV News. Businesses and shoppers were evacuated from the central city today following a gas leak. Parts of Colombo and Hereford streets were closed for about an hour after a digger driver punctured a gas main, causing major traffic chaos. Firefighters were called to the scene along with rock gas to contain the leak just after 10 this morning. Christchurch's only youth health service hub is bursting at the seams in a good way, and although they have limited funding, they're looking to expand. Here's Chelsea Daniels.
298 Barbados, a youth health services hub and the only one-stop shop for youth services in the city, is looking to expand its premises. The original centre opened 2 decades ago and after closing due to the quakes, relocated in 2012 to its current location. But it still has the same goal, to develop young people to their fullest potential.
We provide doctors, nurses, counsellors, youth workers, social workers. So we try and do everything from food parcels and helping people find a place to live through to diagnosing psychosis.
They provide for the health and development needs of young people aged 10 through to 25, something that director Sue Bagshaw is super passionate about.
Some people say to me, what do you do at 298? And I say we engage young people, we hold them, then we let them go when their brains are developed.
The service tries to remove as many of the barriers as possible, like cost, accessibility, and breaking down the fear of embarrassment. But due to an overwhelming number of Christchurch youth needing the support service, Bagshaw says it's hard to fit everyone in.
We're bursting at the seams, so we've only got 4 clinical rooms. We probably need double that. We have huge demand. We've got a waiting list to see a doctor of 2 weeks and the counsellors of 2 months. So we really would like more space.
Their lease ends April next year, and with the deadline looming, Bagshaw hopes to find a new spot as soon as possible.
Yeah, and we need some land now for the young people in Christchurch now. You know, stories of people who get a job, but they're couch serving, so they're moving every 2 weeks, so they can't keep their job. Stories of people who come out of CIF care or out of the prison unit for whatever reason, got nowhere to live, so they live on the street. So of course they go back there. You know, how expensive is it to keep a young person in jail, to keep a young person on the dole? It's nothing. The cost of that is nothing compared to what people could make this happen.
And she says that they have big plans for the future.
We're looking for a really true one-stop shop where we can actually get other agencies to come in, so a housing agency and employment, helping with employment, helping people get benefits, sort of coming together so that it's not just us trying to do everything.
Bagshaw says while housing has affected the whole of Christchurch dramatically since the quakes, youth have felt the brunt of it.
We did a wee audit, and between July last year and April this year, we saw about 1,700 young people, and 42% of them had housing issues. It's a real emergency. There's been problems with youth housing forever in Christchurch. 20 years ago I was blarting on about this, but it's got obviously more acute along with everybody else since the earthquake. So we really feel that it's important to actually we're not going to do emergency housing and we're not going to do permanent housing. What we'd like to do is help young people have somewhere to go while they sort themselves out.
She says there are a lot of children leaving child, youth and family care, sometimes without any guidance.
Often they come out of CIF care with no skills, no budget, no money, nowhere to go. They might get on these days some of the social workers are very good and make sure they're on a benefit before they leave CIF care, but sometimes nothing at all.
Bagshaw's passion for youth development is clear, and she says that youth have a unique way of bringing a fresh perspective to all things.
Sometimes, you know, there's a whole 80-20 rule. 80% of kids do fantastically well, 20% don't. And often they're kind of written off, but they contribute so much, and young people have so much to give, so they should be allowed to give it.
Chelsea Daniels, CTV News.
Still to come here on your local news service, sport and weather, and Canterbury brings home the bacon. Welcome back to CTV News. Canterbury takes on Manawatu in the 4th round of the ITM Cup this week. After 3 wins to start their campaign, they will be looking to make it 4 on the trot in Palmerston North. Here's Gordon Finlater with the details.
Canterbury fans will have the rare prospect of a midweek game to look forward to when the Red and Blacks take on the Turbos this Thursday night. The starting lineup sees just a couple of changes from the team that defeated Auckland at Eden Park. Both props have been rotated, with Alex Hodgman and Siate Tokalahi in the starting 15. Ben Mapwajau comes into the locks, while Tom Sanders has recovered from concussion to start at 6. In the backs, Tom Taylor starts at 10, with Rob Thompson in at 12, and Tololo makes his debut on the wing. The team has struck a blow this week with the news that centre Jack Goodhue will miss the remainder of the season due to an injury sustained against Counties Manukau. The team couldn't ask for a better time for Ryan Crotty to be committed to the team's campaign. After missing out on World Cup selection, he will prove to be the perfect replacement for the injured Goodhue.
He's been awesome for us. He's a real leader, and he's definitely played some great rugby, and I guess it's a really good opportunity for Rob Thompson inside him this week as well. But he's from Palmerston North, and a good opportunity for him to play in front of a few of his family and friends, I guess, and as there is a few of the boys from the team that are from up that way, so looking forward to it.
The coach is also well aware of the threat that the Manawatu team possess.
Oh, they're tough, you know. They'll not a game up there. It's going to be physical. It'll be a brutal environment. They're the sort of team that won't give up, and they change a few pitches. And although Jason O'Halloran works, he doesn't like to think you know what's going on. They'll change a few pitches for us, as we saw with Tasman. You know, they did that nice strike move and went through the middle of them. So, we're expecting the unexpected and prepared to deal with it.
Thursday night's game against Manawatu kicks off at 7:35 from Palmerston North. Gordon Findlater, CTV Sport.
From sport to dance, have you heard of Just Dance? Not the Lady Gaga song, no, this is it's a dance. It's played by millions around the globe, and soon too Christchurch locals will be heading to Paris to compete with the world's top performers. Here's Gordon Findlater.
This is Just Dance. And yes, unfortunately, this is about the guts of my dancing skills. Christchurch does have talent though. 6 gruelling rounds of qualifying has seen the top dancers from a number of different regions around the globe book their spot at the Just Dance World Cup in Paris later this year. Avery Price lives right here in Christchurch, but will be flying the banner for the US when she appears at the tournament in late October.
Yeah, that makes me feel a little bit bad. I feel like a bit of a traitor. And the irony of it is that I'm also Australian, so I'm kind of beating, like, I'm putting away 3 countries for my home country. But I've been living here for 2 years, and I love it here. But if I had to represent Australia or America, it would definitely be America, and I don't have citizenship here, so I can't represent New Zealand, unfortunately. I'm sorry.
Also Christchurch-based and representing New Zealand is Rosalia Roa. She's been hooked on dancing games since their inception.
Ever since SingStar Dance, I just kept picking up the newer games as they'd come out, and Just Dance started coming out on PlayStation, and I've just played all of them as they've come out.
With success comes sacrifice. And with qualifying rounds for the World Cup working on a global time, Avery and Rosalia have had to get used to early starts.
Yeah, some pretty early mornings, if you call 4:30 a.m. early. Yeah, I would get up about half an hour before the competition started, and it was from 5 a.m. to 6 a.m. for New Zealand. Everyone else was up at the same time, but on the other side of the world, it was like 5 p.m. or 8 p.m., so it wasn't quite as challenging.
A useful tool for practicing, both girls live stream their dancing on Twitch, a website which allows them to interact with fans of hundreds anytime they're playing online.
Usually, after every dance they'll be like, good job, and that makes me feel a bit better. And the people are always pretty supportive. I mean, you get the odd one now and then that's like, you suck, and so that sucks, but I just that goes right over my head. And it's nice to connect with people like that. I really like that. I wanted to bring it to a different platform and show everyone that Just Dance isn't something you only play when you're drunk with friends or something.
With serious hours being put into learning the moves to each song, the best in the business know them like the back of their hand.
I actually was streaming last night and someone challenged me to do a song blindfolded, and I think I did pretty well. I got 5 stars, which was the goal.
That won't help in this year's final though, with the World Cup using a new version of the game, which will be released just days before the event in Paris. After both getting a taste of the finals last year, the girls will be hoping that experience will work as a platform for a top finish in this year's tournament.
I'd really love it if I could make it to like the final 3. Because last year I made it to 2nd place in my pool, which meant that I didn't make it onto the final 4. So it'd be really cool to make it there this year. But even just making it to Paris really is like the main prize for me.
I hope so. It's hard to know if I'm better than I was last year, and also I get quite nervous before I go on stage, so I might not be eating and I might not be sleeping, and that would affect it. So the hopes are that yes, I can hopefully make it a bit farther this year. I'm not going to say I definitely will because I don't know. So
one thing's for sure though, they'll be putting in a much better performance than I did. Gordon Findlater, CTV News.
Good on you, Gords. Canterbury has brought home the bacon, so to speak, with a number of local outlets getting gold at this year's New Zealand Bacon and Ham Awards. Cashmere Cuisine won the 100% New Zealand Bacon of the Year with their honey-cured Manuka smoked middle eye bacon. This is the second time the specialty butcher has snagged the top spot at the awards, with owner Kurt Robinson winning the supreme title for Best Ham in 2010. Other Canterbury winners include Independent Meat Processors winning the Best Streaky Bacon and Eastside Butchery in Temuka for the Best Dried Cured Middle Bacon. Right, looks like it's bacon for dinner tonight. Now it's time for your region's weather.
Kia ora Canterbury. Well, it was a rainy day, rain particularly in the afternoon and evening, heavy for some places, and snow lowering to 350 metres as well. We saw 9 degrees for everyone in South Canterbury apart from Twizel, 7 degrees for you. Central Canterbury, 8 degrees was shared by Christchurch, Darfield and Methven. Methven, you also had some sleety showers today. 9 degrees for Leaston there and 10 for Akaroa. Heading further north, 7 degrees for Kaikoura, Hanmer Springs and Culverden. 9 degrees for Amberley and Rangiora and just 6 degrees for you, Oxford. And over to the Alpine region, snow here today for most places. Arthur's Pass, you were on just 2 degrees. Tomorrow's looking a little bit drier for you, Timaru. Northerly winds, and we are seeing these change southerly in the evening. Bring a few showers with them, 12 degrees for your high. Mostly fine, sunny breaks for Ashburton tomorrow. However, could be a little bit of damp in the evening, 13 degrees for your high and 4 for your morning. Looking to Christchurch, northerly winds for you and 14 degrees is your expected high, 4 for your morning, and again could be a little bit of showers coming through in the evening. And to Kaikoura, northerly winds for you, 12 degrees for your high and 4 for your morning. The rest of the Canterbury region can also expect a little bit of dampness, particularly later on. Southwesterly winds for everyone here and 9 degrees for you, Twizel. Central Canterbury, southwesterly winds here again, although a few northerlies there for Akaroa on 14 degrees. Showers coming through in the evening, and we're just seeing mostly cloudy patches during the day. Heading further north, 13 degrees there for Cheviot, Amberley and Rangiora tomorrow, but warmer than it was today there. Northerly winds for everyone apart from Hanmer Springs, southwesterly winds for you. And over to the Alpine region, 7 degrees tomorrow for Lake Tekapo. A few showers, but a few fine breaks as well. The upcoming days, Thursday, 10 degrees for everyone here. Rain could be present in the morning, but that should be easing off, and should be easing as well, those southerly winds. And looking to Friday, southwesterly winds in the evening there, bring a few showers with them, but a mostly fine day with a few sunny breaks. To the rest of the Canterbury region, we're also seeing these southerly winds easing off on Thursday, and that rain in the morning easing off in the afternoon as well. Looking to Friday, we could be seeing a little bit of snow in Christchurch to 400 metres on Friday, and with that cold temperatures in the evening with those southwesterly winds coming coming through later on. So this evening we are still expecting heavy rain, particularly for high country places and inland areas. Weather warnings are off, but again, prepare for that rain coming through. Over the next coming days we are seeing that rain on and off amongst fine breaks. Let's hope spring brings us some sunnier weather in the next few weeks. And that's your weather report for Tuesday.
And that's your local news service also for Tuesday. Don't forget to join me on CTV tomorrow from 8:35. But from all of us here, have a good night.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.